Central Illinois is the CI in CI Living.
Whether you're taking a long weekend trip or a trip out of the country, there's always a lot of prep work involved.
Like, what happens if I get sick or lose my luggage? Here with all the answers in today's Get Out of Town segment. It's Anywhere, Anytime Journeys. Brad Martin, who's actually probably going to be taking advantage of some of these tips himself as you're heading to Cuba here soon.
Yes, next week.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. Didn't that used to be like a thing we couldn't do here in the States?
That's correct, and it's actually changing again where it's not, it's going to be family members that can go to Cuba. So it's those who want to go to Cuba, you need to act fast because last week it was announced that they're going to cut down the borders a little bit on Cuba again.
Really?
This isn't like on a sketchy boat. You're going on an airplane, right?
I'm actually going.
Raft.
I'm actually going on a cruise, and we're going to have an overnight in Havana. And I've been wanting to go there forever. Hemingway. I used to spend all my time on the flight attendant at the cafe where Hemingway wrote his book. So now I'm going to Key West to his house there, and then going to when I'm in Cuba, I'm going to his house in Cuba as well.
That's awesome. Okay,
yeah.
Well, we're talking about things that you need to think about before you go, like protecting that investment that you're making going to Cuba, so your travel investment. So what do we need to know?
Well, you know, I've been on the show many times and we've touched basically about travel insurance, but I've never gone into great detail. And the first thing is, I'm going out of the country. Whenever I go out of the country, I get travel insurance because our health insurance, most health insurance in the United States do not cover you when you're abroad. And some countries will actually be like, you sprain your ankle, you have to come up with $10,000 before they even see you.
Ooh.
Oh my!
It's a pricey ankle sprain.
Right. And
I think I might tough it out.
and so that's the reason. And I just read an article today that they expect travel insurance to increase by 25% this year. Not just because of that, it's just because the airlines and the tour companies, the hotels, have all these cancellation penalties, and life happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that when TJ's appendix burst, and I was like thinking, what if we had been on vacation when that had happened? It would have been awful. And that's why you get the travel insurance.
That's why, and I have one client that they were going on a cruise. They'd never been on a cruise before, and they were all excited. And you know, it was an expensive cruise, and I said, please get insurance. They didn't. I said, I'm just going to give you an example. What happens if? Well, they did get the insurance, and they're so thankful they did because 2 weeks before they went, he had a heart attack. He survived, but had a heart attack. But if that had happened, they would have lost everything.
Can you get travel insurance like up until the day of your trip, or what's the time frame of getting insurance?
That's a good question. A lot of the insurance, for medical reasons, they want you to do it within 14 days to cover pre-existing conditions.
Oh.
But if hurricane season, which is just around the corner, June 1st it starts, last year, everybody was calling, can I get insurance? Well, once a storm is named, usually 24 hours before a storm is named, you cannot get travel insurance. So I always tell people the sooner the better, because you know, once you get those penalties and something happens.
Oh yeah.
I won't put this on everybody, but I'm at least sort of pre-programmed to just immediately say no when someone offers me insurance, whether you're renting a car, like a rental truck, or anywhere. It's like, do you want the, nope, I'm good.
Do you want that package for your electronics?
Right, and I always just say no. Obviously, there are some health benefits if you get sick or something goes wrong. Hurricane, what else is kind of covered by that?
Okay, a few years ago, I'm going to give you an example. A few years ago, when the eruption was in Iceland with the volcano, those people that had the insurance, they were covered while they were over in Europe and couldn't get back. They had money to cover their trip for hotel expenses, and been in trouble basically.
Yeah.
And the other ones who weren't, they were 2 weeks having to pay for a hotel and such like.
Is there a way to plan a trip to Europe that I know a volcano is going to erupt and get stuck there for an extra 2 weeks and have it paid for? Can we somehow come up with that?
I'll let Brad handle that one.
Got to be strategic about these things.
So you also can think about the lost luggage, maybe rental car damage, Tim mentioned the rental car insurance. This is all covered under an umbrella.
There's umbrellas, and there's different insurances out there. Don't always say, oh, you know, the insurance I get is always the same. A lot of the better insurance companies will have 4 or 5 different policies. What covers yours? There's one that actually, for parents, The kids from infant all the way to 18 years old are covered under a parent's policy, where the others, they charge individually. So you just have to, there's all these different policies.
And that's why we go to the expert. I know we always say hi to your dad, but if Sylvia can punch up the green room camera, he's actually here today. So we can say hi to him actually in person. There he is, sitting on the couch. We're waving at you. You told me you'd wave back. He must not be able to hear. Well, for more information on everything happening at Anywhere, Anytime Journeys, we'll hook you up at CILiving.tv. I'm disappointed.